Okay, you guys, I was thinking everything's going on crazy in the world. And I'm like, who is a ball of sunshine? And I go on this woman's stories all the time. And she's talking about making floral bouquets from Trader Joe's and like the cutest tie-dye pants. And she's also a talented dancer. So I thought, I know exactly who I want to speak with this week. And it is Carly Blaney. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so good. That was the nicest intro I've ever gotten. I
No,
do
it's
love
so
flowers.
true. No, it's so true. You go, this is my favorite. It's like, you guys, I found the cutest pants. And then I'm like, oh my God, they are the cutest things ever. And I totally like and believe it and want to buy it all. I'm like, you're the greatest saleswoman in
Oh my
history.
gosh. I think it just comes from years of having a shopping addiction, thanks to my mom. And I was like, everyone needs to know about this.
And then you're always like, look how cute. And I'm like, it is so cute.
That's hysterical.
No, it's great. And honestly, if you ever want, and I'm serious about this, if you ever want a second career in home shopping, you would be great at the job. I did it at the early part of my career. And you have
Oh,
like, they'll be like, sell these glasses. It is 3 a.m. We're going to give you 3 bullet points about it. Now talk about it for 20 minutes. And it's hard to do, but I think you have real talent at it.
I feel like I could do that. I should into that. I feel like that would be a fun, because I can like pretty much talk forever as it is. And I love like sharing things. So that would be a fun extra side hustle.
You let me know if you're ever interested. It's a nice career. Like I want to listen. Now here's the secret. Like your starting salary is like 100 grand.
I mean, I'm down for that, especially in these COVID times.
Right? It's like 100 grand plus like commission. I mean, you make a nice little life. So if you ever want to move to like Florida and do HSN, call me. I will like introduce you to people.
That's amazing. That I didn't know you did that. That is so
I
funny.
did the first part of my career, and I didn't love it because I didn't. Here's the thing: you have to be good at sales. And I think that some people have the gift for it and some people don't. And I don't think I had the gift for it. And I thought it was hard. But I got a lot of great skills out of it. Like live
Yeah.
TV, I can talk about anything. If they're like, oh my gosh, we lost the other feed and it's going to be just you for an hour, I won't panic.
Yeah.
I sold cuckoo clocks at 2 a.m, Carly.
Wait, that is so funny. I need to see this footage one day. You need to like compile it and share it.
I will. Maybe I have some old videos that I've had digitized and everything. So I'll get those up on my
Yes.
socials.
I need to see that.
And I had the little like Paige Davis, like when she was the first time Trading Spaces was big, I had the little flippy do.
I lived for Trading Spaces. Oh my gosh, yes. I need to see this.
It's really good. But let's talk about you. Let's not talk
Okay.
about me and my home shopping career. How have you been doing during these crazy quarantine times? I mean, you have stayed positive, and I think that is a great quality to have. It's hard some days, I'm sure, but I do love your social media because of that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think when it first started, like one downside of me is I'm not the greatest at staying up with the news. Well, I used to not be. Obviously, 2020 has changed that. So before all of that, I was kind of like not ignorant, but I was just like, what's even COVID? Like, what was happening? I was still traveling because I feel like it wasn't really being shared too much. So I actually met with Mackenzie Dustman. She's a dancer. You
We
could
love
probably know
Mackenzie.
her. Yeah, Mackenzie. I grabbed coffee with her. This was like the day before, like COVID really went bad. And she's like, Carly, you have to go get groceries. You have to get everything, like this is happening. And I was like, okay. So I think that was like the first day where I like went to the food store and I was like, wow, the world's ending. And I like really quarantined alone here because my roommate kind of went back home for a little bit. So I was in my apartment for like 3 months alone. And I think I decided that day, I was like, you know what? We're just going to have a routine. So I was like, I'm going to wake up and work out. And then I'm going to go on a walk. And then I was like, I'm going to learn to cook. So now I like started cooking, which I think is so funny because that was my 2020 goal. Like, when you like make New Year's resolutions, I was like, I'm going to learn to cook. And then it kind of like fell off. And then COVID hit and I was like, hey, here we go. New Year's resolution. Yeah. But it actually wasn't too bad. Like I dance with like CLI Studios a lot.
Mhm.
So I just took class like all the time at home. And then I started doing these like Zoom privates, which actually was way cool because I got to like connect with kids who were stuck at home. And that's like such a bummer for them. So it was cool. I was still like connecting with people. I would just call my friends for like hours on end. So I definitely adjusted well. Like, I think as a dancer, we're super adaptable, which is like, and moldable. And I think I was just like, all right, new normal, like, let's do it.
So what did you learn about yourself? If you're quarantining alone for 3 months, you have to have
Yeah.
learned something about yourself and all of that.
Yes, I think I learned that I am like super adaptable. Like that's one thing. Like I guess I always knew that because I like moved across the country for college. Then I lived in Arizona and I was like, great. Then I did So You Think and I was like, wow, this is crazy and adapt. So I think it was just kind of cool for myself to be like, all right, like you'll be okay no matter where you go. And then I think I also like relearned that like I really love dance. Like I always loved dance,
Mhm.
but I think it was like when dance becomes your job or your passion becomes your job, you kind of lose sight of like the 12-year-old in you, you know? And I think me being just like at home and not like working really as like a dancer because everything was shut down, I was like, oh wow, like you do really love it. Like even if no one's like hiring you for like a set job, like you still love it.
That's actually a good thing to learn because I had a career where, I did it a lot as a kid, went to college for it, danced professionally, completely fell out of love with it while I was dancing professionally,
Yeah.
like stepped away and found a way to like come back around to it. And I completely love it. I love being on this side. And, I had all these goals. I was like, I'm going to be a Broadway dancer. And I did national tours and things like that. However, people are always asking me, do you have any regrets? And I'm like, I don't, because I get to talk to all of you guys and
Yeah.
hear your stories. And I've still had experiences like, So You Think What You Can Dance wasn't around when I was dancing, but I'm like, I got to stand on that stage. That's enough.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so cool to be on the other side.
It really is. You're 6 years out now from your So You Think experience. Have you sort of wrapped your brain around what you accomplished? Because 10 people make it a season, 20 people make it a season, depending on where you were. You were in the top 20, but how have you told yourself, like, cause it's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, I think it is like actually so crazy. I kind of forget like I did it because it was like I was so young. Like I kind of forget. And that was just like I was like one track minded. I was like, you're gonna make So You Think, you're gonna make So You Think, which is just so funny. I don't know, like I got it in my brain and then it actually like happened. And then I think now like I always think like whenever I'm getting like super stressed in LA, which is like really normal, I'm just
Mhm.
like, okay, Carly, like think of the things that you've done that you've already wanted to do. And it's like, So You Think, just like award shows, working with choreographers like Mandy Moore, or like just like on the list. And I'm like, oh my gosh, all of that really did stem from So You Think, which I think is so wild. And it's funny when little kids like now don't really know what So You Think is, which I think is sad because that platform was like the best ever. Like I really think it's like super supportive on like kids like, dreams and stuff. But yeah, no, I still can't believe I did it.
Did you grow up watching it?
Oh my gosh, yes. We used to do like summer dance camp at my studio, and we would like rent out this theater and watch it live. And it's just so funny because now I get to work with like Travis and like Allison Holker. Like I get to assist her all the time. And I'm always like, I used to watch you when I was a child and I wanted to be you. She's always like, oh my gosh, you make me feel
Seriously.
old.
Okay, but I have to say too, I still, when the season, like when Twitch worked as a judge, season 15, and even having Allison around Dance with the Stars and So You Think as an all-star, I have to say, I still even go, I can't believe I stand next to them sometimes or interview
I know.
them or maybe even have their phone number in my cell phone
Yes.
contacts.
I like kind of am still like, like fangirly. Like they are just the nicest people I've ever met. I'm like, what goals are they? Like they're just like so kind, like so hardworking. Like no matter where they get, they're just like constantly like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just like such a cool trait to have. And I'm like, that's who I aspire to be for sure.
Yeah, they're good people. And a lot of people have asked me, like, what are they like in person? I'm like, what you see on TV
Yes.
is what you're getting in real life, because not
Yeah.
only are they talking the talk, they're walking the walk. Good thing.
100%. Yeah, like they're like for sure the nicest people. Whenever I'm around them, I'm always like asking Allison a million questions. I'm like, what's your advice on this? Like, what do you think about that? Because I'm just like trying to like learn as much as I can from them.
I know. We all want to live in the Boss family, I think.
I know. I'm like, adopt me.
We're all gonna move. Um, I just rewatched your duet with Serge,
Oh,
the Third Round.
love
I think a
Serge.
lot of people will remember it. You guys have the skeletons. The skeleton.
Yes.
That's a good. You know what? That's one that like holds up really well.
Oh, thank you. I remember being so nervous. What's so funny is I've actually gotten to work with Luther on the Latin American Music Awards, and he's always like, "Remember?" And I'm like, "Of course I remember." But I remember being like so nervous because I can do hip hop better now, but growing up, like I didn't really train. I feel like it wasn't as like common as it is now. So like I did it, but it was kind of like, funky, not really too. It was like
It's
not the
not down in the
coolest.
pocket. It's that bouncy sort of.
Yeah. So I think when I got that, I was like, all right, you got to dig deep here. And I remember that show, I had bronchitis so bad. And
Mm.
I was at the doctor's getting IVs that day. And I was like coughing up my lung. It was like so stressful, but that was my favorite dance.
You're like, that was a great week.
Yeah. Regardless of what happened before that, I was like, that was a fun dance.
I don't think people realize too how stressful So You Think is. And I don't think people realize till they get on the show. And I always love it. I've talked about this before, but from a media perspective, the first week, everyone's like, oh my God, we just did that. Blah, blah. And then the first elimination happens and everyone's like, oof. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
you make it a few more weeks and you're doing maybe 2 or 3 dances and you start getting really tired. You get sick, you get injured. It is not for the faint of heart by any means.
No, it's no joke. And I remember I talked to like a few people who had done it before and they warned me. They were just like, it's going to be hard. And I'm like, I do hard stuff all the time, like in my brain. And no, you get there and it's like, I say it's like a fast track into the industry because now I go on jobs and they're saying like the craziest stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is nothing. Like you should have seen what I did when I was on So You Think. And it really helped me out.
It really does. I always say best dance camp that you could ever appear on.
Yes, it's like dance boot camp.
It totally is. What has been your favorite professional job post So You Think You Can Dance? Besides the
Ooh.
tour, because I know everyone loves the tour.
I loved the tour. Let's think. I've had so many. I've been really lucky. I think like as an outsider, I think some people are always like, "Oh, LA people are kind of like flaky or not nice or mean." I've never met someone in LA who is like that. I feel like everybody I've worked for or worked with has just been like genuinely the nicest people ever. And I really do owe a lot to So You Think though, because like Mandy Moore, like I met her through that and then like through the tour and she's just like really helped me out a ton. I feel like a lot of my great jobs have come from her.
She's the
I
best.
think oh my gosh, she's the absolute best. She's my absolute goal. Like of I just like model a lot after her. I think she's like the nicest, hardworking, cool, creative. Oh, love her. But let's see, my favorite job actually was my first award show when I did the Grammys. That was so fun because I remember it was like a goal of mine. I was like, I really want to do an award show. And it just seems like unattainable because you're like, I know how to get there, but I don't know like the path. And this one kind of like fell in my lap. And I remember I was standing, like I was crouched down under the stairs because it was the opening number. And Adele was just like singing. And I had like a tear in my eye because I was like, first of all, I love Adele. Second of all, we're about to go live on a slippery stage in heels. And I was like so nervous.
You're like,
And
don't
then
fall, don't fall.
literally, I was just like panicking. And Randy Kemper, who like choreographs on So You Think as well and works on 24/7,
Randy and
we
Pat.
worked together.
Yep.
Yes, you know them. Okay, amazing. Of course. She was next to me because she did the job and she's like, you're okay. Because she used to dance with like everybody known to mankind. I was like, all right, you're right.
I'm like, I got
And
this.
then it was amazing. That was my favorite job.
It's funny because I don't think a lot of people look down upon award shows. They're like, oh, Hollywood and blah, blah, blah. They like to pat themselves on the back, but I don't think that they realize the impact that it has for the people who perform on the show, people that are lucky enough to attend. It's fun for me, people like me. I remember working my first Oscars and I was on the red carpet trying not to cry my eyes out. And I'm like, I had all my hair and makeup done because I came from small town Massachusetts and like to get there, and I'm sure it's the same thing for you, to get on that stage for the Grammys is a huge accomplishment. And I think sometimes
Mm-hmm.
people at home just get kind of like, oh, it's another award show, but there's so much joy in the people involved in the show.
100%. And it's funny because like as a dancer, you're not like the star. Like I think on So You Think, I took it for granted a little bit because the dancer is always the background. That's really just how it goes in the industry. And I'm more than okay with that. But until you think, you're the star, which is just like really interesting, like, because you're known as you, not like dancer 12.
Right.
So when I do the Grammys, like I feel like that is like a shining moment in my life. And like, again, no one probably even like remembers me who was there or like watching exactly the same thing. But it's true, like as a dancer, it's like a moment you're like looking forward to. It's like so crazy.
It really is crazy. But I think there's always like those goals that dancers have. They have the award shows, they have the world tour. Do you have the world tour on your list?
Oh my gosh, my dream is to dance for Taylor Swift.
There you go. Throw it out
So
there.
we'll see. It's out there.
Do you know, I like to manifest dreams for people because Teddy Coffee was on my show.
Yes.
And he was like, I just want to dance with Christina Aguilera. And it was like a year later. And there he was with Christina.
Yes, he used to be my roommate. And he was always like, has Christina posters up. He's like, I love her so much. We're like, you're going to get it, like for sure. And then all of a sudden he got the audition and got the job. And I was like, yes, like so stoked for him.
That must have been helpful because it was like Valerie and you and Teddy all living
Yes,
together.
and Jackie was there for a little bit, and Emily. And it's so funny, Bridget Whitman is here right now because Broadway's on a break. So her and her boyfriend were like, you know what, we'll just come to LA for a little bit. And I was like, amazing. I have an extra room. Come stay with me.
I love it.
So
you tell her I've been trying to interview her for a gazillion years. So after this,
she's so bad with answering her phone. So I will be sure to tell her.
You tell her to just send me that DM back on Instagram. She knows it's sitting in her box.
Worst.
And tell her
so
I'm not mean. It's just a conversation. It's totally painless.
This is Bridget to a T. I'm always like, answer me. And she's like, oops, sorry, my phone was
I'll tell you a
dead.
story about Bridget too. Why not? I went to Spencer Lift did Singing in the Rain down at La Mirada, and she auditioned for it. And I was like, there's Bridget Whitman. I happened to be at the audition because I was covering and doing an interview with Spencer. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then a few months later, she got West Side Story. So I was like, well,
oh, I know. So amazing. I know I was so stoked for her when she got that, but I was like secretly sad she was leaving me in LA. So the only like amazing thing to come out of COVID is that she's here for a few months.
There you go. There's sunshine in little pockets that you don't expect.
Always.
How has it been teaching through all of this? Are you seeing kids? I know a lot of times we're back in studio now, but the virtual classes are still happening. Are kids a little fatigued by them?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I've been doing like, I teach almost every day now because I just decided I was like, you know what, until the industry opens up, like I still want to be like working and I still want to be connecting. So I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go in full throttle and teach every day. And the kids actually, I think I'm really impressed with how they're handling this. Like, I think they're handling it better than adults are, which I think is funny. Yeah, and I think they kind of got used to the technology because they do it for school. And then over Zoom, at first, like you would see them kind of just like sneaking away. And I could be like, random name. I'd be like, Samantha, get back over here. And then they're like, back over here. It was just like, honestly comical. But now it's really like an amazing platform. Like I can teach people, in Tennessee and I can just like, and then hop off, log back on somebody in Colorado. And it's amazing how many people I connect with in a day. Like, I really think that's the coolest part of it. But yeah, the kids are doing pretty well with it, I have to say.
So are you doing a lot of privates and choreographing solos for competitions?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I did one solo over Zoom and I thought that was a little interesting. I don't know if that's my favorite thing. I don't know if I'll do that again, but I think like I'm better with like technique over here is great. And the kids are so cute. Like they try so hard and they're in like their living room and you see like their brother run past. Like it's just so funny. I'm like, good for you guys for not giving up during this time. And I think it's cool for those kids because I think they'll realize almost what I realized through COVID, like, oh, I really love dance. Because I don't think if you're not in it, like you're not going to stick around because it's hard over Zoom.
It is. It's not easy at all. It's not even easy for me, even though we transformed our guest room into like a studio here at my house.
Yeah.
There are days I just miss doing in-person interviews. I really miss the connection of it, but it's made it easier with schedule wise. I'm like, when can you do it?
Yeah, you're like anytime.
Right. Instead of like, hey, my show's at Tuesday at 3:00 in North Hollywood. Are you in town? With a lot of you guys on tour with all of the conventions and everything else, it was hard. It was hard to
Oh,
get
that's
people.
a good point. So you're getting to talk to so many people now. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's great. And even just like Travis one week was like, let's do an interview. He's like, I'm sitting around. I'm like, okay, let's do
Yes.
it. Yeah, I like that. I like having that ability to do it. So you went to Arizona State. I didn't realize you were at ASU before you went on So You Think.
Yeah, I
Or
had
maybe I
2
knew,
years.
and 6 years I've forgotten. Did you ever go back? What wound up happening with your college career?
Yeah, so it was so funny. Like I had this kind of like chat with my like dad, like and my mom, but my dad and I kind of like I guess manifested this. Like we would talk and I was like my goal is to get to LA. Like I just know that's where I want to be. Like I knew it since I was really young. And my dad and my mom were like, "Okay, like that's a really scary thing from New Jersey. Like we don't know anything about that." So I was always like, right, I just need 2 years of school under my belt. I think that's enough for me to grow up a little bit, understand the world, and then I'll go do So You Think, and then I'll go to LA. So it's kind of exactly how it happened. I tried out my first year when I was at Arizona State, didn't make So You Think, and I was like, all right, made it to the end. We'll try again, you know, like I feel like that's very me, like, oh, whatever, do it again. So then second year, made it, did it. And then what was like the kind of like the deciding point was when I got to do the tour,
Yeah.
because then that would have overlapped with my third year of school. And it was tough though, because I did dance team and it was a really good dance team, like, and they were really great people and friends. So I was sad to leave them there. But it was a good decision for me, like obviously, because I just knew like I had to ride the momentum of So You Think. And the tour was extra long my year. Like it went all the way until February.
You did 77 cities that year.
Yeah. Oh my goodness,
77.
that would tour.
And I used to hear, because I would be interviewing, catching up with the season 10 kids, and they'd be like, well, why did they get 77 cities? And I'm like, because you guys did so well. Season 11 got extra cities.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like that was seriously like so much fun. I want to do that again.
I know everyone says tour is like the absolute best thing. Did you ever decide to complete your degree? Is it on hold? Just because online now you can take a class here or there. That's what I find so interesting.
Yeah, I put it on hold. I like went back and forth. I was like, do I want to finish it now? Do I want to wait? But I still don't feel like super passionate about anything besides really like dance. The only thing I think in my mind, like, all right, you should go back to school for is business, because I have like a few ideas. And I just think like I definitely could learn more, you know, of like that side of things. So I feel like in the next few years, I'd love to go back and finish because I have only 2 years left. It would be so easy for me. But yeah, I put it on hold because I was traveling teaching, and with convention, I was leaving LA every Thursday and getting
Yeah.
back every Sunday. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to even learn. Like, I would just be like, you know, doing it to get a degree. And I was like, if I'm going to spend the money, I need to be able to actually learn. So I feel like eventually.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always like to have the conversation because I went to NYU to school the arts for dance. And at that time, it was really, there wasn't So You Think and everything in that path.
Yeah.
But it was really like, you should go to college kind of situation. And I think now people are much more open to the situation of like, go to New York, go to LA, go to where you want to pursue your passion. Maybe pursue a couple classes a semester and do a 6-year, 7-year plan. Who cares?
Yeah.
And I don't know, some people are doing that, or other people like start off doing the dance career and go, nope, I want a college situation. There's no linear path. And I think that the internet has been a game changer for what college looks like. And you know what, COVID has too. COVID has changed that because a lot of people are on campus, but not even going into class. They're just sitting in their room taking class.
100%. I agree. What's also interesting is now that I teach kids, I feel like they're always like, what did you do? What did you do? And I'm like, well, what I did might not be what's best for you. I was like, I think going to school like for like at least like 1 or 2 years is so helpful. Like I was like, I don't want to use the word sheltered, you know, but I grew up in a more like private area, and like I don't think I realized like how big the world was. So just for me to move, you know, from Jersey to Arizona and just be on my own for, you know, all those like 2 years was super helpful. Because I think if Carly from New Jersey moved to LA, I don't know if she would have been as successful. Like, I think I needed just a little buffer of like, all right, this is somewhere other than New Jersey. And I think that's like a helpful thing for people, you know?
It really is. And I always love asking the question, or I love asking people under 18, like who are working professionally, are you going to school? Are you doing homeschooling? There's no again, no linear path for that either, because I've had people say, I tried homeschool, didn't work for me. I was getting behind. And so going to
Yeah.
school and just working out my lessons with the teacher works out much better. And I think that's important because I also think parents get stuck on like, but my kid's not doing what they're supposed to, but they are. If you're letting them follow their passion, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to.
Totally. That was a battle between like me and my parents a little bit because no one in my family really is like in the arts. You know, it's different. If you don't know, it's scary essentially because it's really like just taking a jump and being like, I hope it works. Because a lot of LA, like as much as it is like hard work, it's luck. You have to sometimes just look the right part or, you know, it's just
Know the right
timing adds
person.
up. Yeah. So I think, you know, after now I've been here for 5 years, my family is like, so great. Like you did it. LA's amazing. And I'm like, now it is for you guys.
Because now they're like, whew, she can pay her bills. She's happy. She's healthy.
Totally. My mom's like, so cool. You have your passion now, like as your career. And I'm like, I'm so happy everyone's on board. It's so great.
But it's good too that they let you go and do that because some parents are literally saying you have to go to college and that is the rule. And that is not always the right path for everyone. And some people it's the military, some people it's a trade school or you know, they want to be a makeup artist or a plumber or whatever that is. And I think the more you encourage that passion path, it'll be okay.
I was so lucky because they really were like as understanding as like they could be. Like I know it was a jump, but they were like super understanding.
Yeah, that's great. It's okay that they're nervous because they're parents.
Yes, I'm like, that means you love me.
They do. They love you so much. Has COVID and quarantine and this uncertain time changed any of your goals in your dance career?
Ooh, that's good. Yes and no. I think if anything more, like I've kind of started to like choreograph a little bit more in my brain, like, you know, just like ideas. So, I mean, eventually, like, I think I really want to start transitioning into that. I don't know what exactly it looks like. I'm still trying to like find my voice, you know, but I think that's a newer goal that I like see a little bit more attainable now. I think on like as a dancer still, because I have like so many years still to do that, like I really want to do a tour. Like I really feel that for myself. So I'm like hoping once things open up again, like that's another goal like I feel more drawn to. I think maybe because I'm stuck in the house and I really want to travel, like maybe
the world.
Part of it. Yes. So those are like my two ones that I feel that are newer and a little bit bigger.
And I was just thinking about this. Is there any choreographer you'd like to assist like consistently? Because sometimes they mentor people, you know, and then they set you free.
Yes, actually, one great thing that came out of COVID was I started to work with Ray Leeper a ton, and we were just kind of like workshopping, and like I was helping him with his classes he was doing over Zoom, and like just being in the room with him, I was learning so much. Like literally, like everything he does, I'm just like, it's genius. Like he just is like so calm and so helpful and creative and quick and decisive, and I'm like, oh wow, like these are all things I need to like really remember because this is something I want to do.
Yeah, it's always great to work with different people and go, what aspects of their leadership or mentorship can I take with me and make it your own in a way, but understand that that's working well and people are responding well to it.
100%. And I'm always trying to find the people who have like been in LA for a really long time because the goal is longevity, right? Like It's great to do something like really fast and really awesome, but I'm trying to stay here for like as many years as I can. You know what I mean? Like be here for 45 years. So
you're like, I'm not a short timer.
Yes, I'm like, I'll like slow and steady. I'm just going to make it and like make the career nice and calm.
And what advice in this crazy time would you have for young dance students, people who are about to graduate and, you know, trying to dive into the professional world?
Let's see. This is a good one because I always think about it. I'm like, I know I talked to a lot of people when I graduated, but it's hard to get advice. So I would say like go for it and like meet as many people as possible because I think like your idea of what a career in LA looks like is so different. Like we don't even know half the people really like that work all the time in LA. So I think when you get here, it's like meet everybody, be open, try every style, like go to the weird audition that you think you're wrong for because you're probably right. Like go and just like assist that person. Like I think just like learn as much as you can. And then eventually you'll be able to decide what LA looks like for you instead of what like Instagram or like YouTube tells you LA is.
That's right. Because social media is all a facade.
It is such a facade. Oh my goodness.
Except for your Instagram stories, which are awesome and authentic.
Except I'm pretty candid, unfortunately.
No, they're
and fortunately.
great. No, they're authentic because I'm like, I totally get a feel for like who you are. And I'm always like, oh, well, I'm gonna go to Trader Joe's and get some flowers and like put them in a little vase.
They just make me so happy. Like, I swear, if you get some flowers, it just like brightens up your room. I'm like a new plant mom. So I have like 3 plants and one's dead already, which is really sad if you saw that.
I learned that I can only raise succulents. So
okay, I should get a succulent. That'll make me feel better.
yes, and you'll keep them alive. I've had the same. I got a succulent in an Emmy's gift basket like 6 years ago. It is still alive and on my balcony. Yep. So I'm just letting you know, because I'm a terrible plant mom. I have one little rose right there that fell out of my friend's birthday bouquet, and I just stole it for myself. So
that's a cute little rose. I love the yellow.
It's a little baby. Amazing. You are an absolute delight, Carly. Thank you so much for bringing some sunshine today, because I just feel like a lot of people get a lot out of this.
Thank you. This was so much fun. I loved getting to chat with you again. It's been way too long.
Way too long. If people aren't following you on social media, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram. It's at Carly and then _Blaney. And yeah, that's really all I use. I don't really have, I have a blog. If you ever want some new fashion ideas, it's just carlyblaney.com. And I post on there from time to time if I feel something cute.
Well, there's a lot of cuteness going on in your Instagram stories. All right, you go and tell Bridget that she needs to return that DM, and hopefully I'll see her soon.
I'm gonna go and tell her right now.
You bet. Thank you again.
Bye.